Assalamu alaikum. 6 p.m. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Sumera Kanwal. The headlines first. Information Minister says the government will welcome opposition parties' suggestions regarding improvement in NAB laws. Central Development Working Party has approved 5 projects worth around 142 billion rupees. Army Chief says Pakistan has won the war on terrorism with the spirit of sacrifice and support of the nation. In occupied Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 3 youth in Srinagar today. In Russia, 18 people have been killed in a blast at a school in Crimean Peninsula. Now the news in detail. Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry says the government is ready to sit with opposition parties to bring improvement in NAB laws and the accountability process. Speaking in the National Assembly today on points raised by opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif, he said we will welcome the opposition parties' suggestions in this regard. He said we want to bring more transparency. Fawad Chaudhry, however, clarified that none of the cases registered against opposition were initiated by PTI government. He said we have also nothing to do with arrests made in these cases. Taking the floor, PPP leader Khurshid Shah said the parliament is mother of all institutions and it can form committees to investigate important matters. He supported the demand of opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif for formation of committee to investigate the allegations levelled against him. Leader of opposition in the National Assembly, Shehbaz Sharif, has said the allegations levelled against him that he used his political influence to award contract of Ashiana housing scheme are groundless. Taking the floor of the National Assembly at the outset, he thanked the Speaker for issuing his production order whilst rising above the party politics. He, however, said it is the first time that an elected leader of the opposition has been arrested without any charges against him. Responding to points of Shehbaz Sharif, Law Minister Farooq Naseem said that National Accountability Bureau is an independent institution and the government is not interfering in its matters. He said Section 24 of NAB Ordinance gives blanket powers to the Accountability Bureau to arrest any person during inquiry and investigation. The Law Minister said the lower house is not a court of law and it cannot declare the proceedings of NAB lawful or unlawful. He said under Section 36 of NAB Ordinance, the conduct of NAB cannot be discussed. Other members, both from Treasury and opposition benches, also expressed their views on overall situation in the country, including the accountability process. Maulana Asad said the government should come up with a concrete economic policy. He said there should be no political victimization. Minister for Housing and Works, Chaudhry Tariq Bashir, criticized the politics of previous PMLN government. He said as a result of these policies, the country today is faced with economic crisis. He said the present government is serious to cope with the current challenges. Sardar Akhtar Mengal said the accountability process must go on, but it should be across the board. He said those who breach the constitution should also be held accountable. Khwaja Muhammad Asif said accountability should not be selective, rather it should be across the board and objective. He said hostilities among political parties has held to derailment of democracy in the past and only a working relationship can ensure continuation of a democratic process in the country. The House has now been prorogued. Supreme Court today disqualified PMLN's Senator Sadia Abbasi and Senator Harun Akhtar under Article 63(1)(c) of the Constitution in a dual nationality case. The verdict to this effect was given by a 7-member bench of the Apex Court headed by Chief Justice Mia Saqib Nisar in Islamabad today. Both the senators had hidden their dual nationality in nomination papers. Central Development Working Party has approved 5 projects worth around 142 billion rupees. The approval was given at a meeting of the CDWP in Islamabad today, with Minister for Planning and Development Makhdoom Khusro Bakhtiar in the chair. Projects relating to energy, food and agriculture, health and information technology, physical planning, and housing and transport and communication were presented in the meeting. A delegation of Council of Business Leaders called on Prime Minister Imran Khan in Islamabad today. The business leaders identified various issues and presented proposals to strengthen economy, development of industrial, agriculture, and IT sectors and boost exports. This is Radio Pakistan. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa says Pakistan has won the war against terrorism owing to the spirit of sacrifice and support of the nation, especially the people of tribal areas and the families of martyrs and ghazis. He was responding to a query about Pakistan's success formula in war against terrorism during his meetings with Italian Defense Minister, Chief of Italian Army, and the Secretary General of Defense in Italy. The army chief said though the fight is still on, Pakistan has emerged stronger from the tribulations. He said today's Pakistan is open to the world and the government is looking to provide our people the prosperity they deserve after the difficult times. The two sides discussed ways to enhance bilateral defense and security cooperation, including potential joint initiatives. The Italian leadership was highly appreciative of the role played by Pakistan in regional stability and also towards global security. Pakistan Railways has generated additional 1 billion rupees in the first 50 days of PTI government. According to a statement of the ministry, Federal Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed is making hectic efforts to enhance Pakistan Railways revenue by putting it on the right track. It said that Pakistan Railways earned 6.7 billion rupees from August to October this year as compared to 5.7 billion rupees during the same period last year. Researchers, government agencies, and private businesses from Pakistan and the United States have resolved to cooperate for elimination of toxic fungus that causes liver cancer and stunting in children. They made this commitment while speaking at a function held in Islamabad today. The project will use a cutting-edge United States Department of Agriculture technology that works to eliminate aflatoxin in the fields where it affects up to 25% of all crops grown. Officials from the U.S. Department of Agriculture are working with the Pakistani company to target the fungus aflatoxin, which occurs naturally in crops. The joint effort aims to provide and improve nutrition and safeguard the health of Pakistani citizens by securing a disease-free food supply. In occupied Kashmir, Indian troops, in their fresh act of state terrorism, martyred 3 youth during a cordon and search operation in Srinagar today. The youth were killed by Indian troops in Fateh Kadal area of the city. The martyred youth were identified as Rais Ahmed, Mirajuddin Bangru, and Faid Mushtaq Waza. Soon after the martyring them, the puppet authorities rushed to close all educational institutions and suspended internet services in a bid to prevent protests. Meanwhile, several journalists were brutally thrashed by the Indian troops while they were performing professional duties during the cordon and search operation in Fateh Kadal area of the city. Kashmir Press Club and Kashmir Editors Guild, in their separate statements, strongly condemned the troops' action against journalists. In Afghanistan, an election candidate Abdul Jabbar Kaharman has been killed in a blast in Helmand province. According to media reports, he was contesting Saturday's parliamentary polls. The Syrian government gave approval for the UN to deliver aid next week to thousands of civilians stranded near a U.S. garrison on the Jordanian-Syrian border. UN sources says that siege of the area earlier this month by the Syrian army and a block on aid by Jordan had depleted food at the camp in Syrian area of Rukban. This led to at least a dozen deaths in the past week among its over 50,000 inhabitants. In Crimean Peninsula, 18 people have been killed and dozens injured in a blast at a school of Kerch. Russian news agencies said blast was caused by a gas explosion. On the second day of second and last cricket test match of the two-match series in Abu Dhabi against Australia, Pakistan in their second innings were 144 for 2 at stumps today. Earlier, Australia, replying to Pakistan's first innings total of 282, were bowled out for 145 in their first innings. Mohammad Abbas bagged 5 wickets. And finally, the weather. Mainly dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain, thunderstorm with snowfall over the hills is expected at isolated places in Malakand Division, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and also watch live streaming of our bulletin on the link facebook.com/radio Pakistan News Official.